and thank you so much for joining our panel, The Future of Education in Cyprus, Prospects and Trends. We have a wonderful group with us today. I'm going to start by introducing myself, who is very honored to be part of this group. My name is Christina Shalis, and I am the founder, CEO of Gear Education. Gear Education is an education technology services provider based in Cyprus. So we have with us, and I'll start in this order from next to me, we have Dr. Branka van der Linden. Am I saying that correctly? Yeah, I am. Founder of Meaningful Synergies. We have Dr. Charalambos Vlasidas, co-founder and executive director of Cardet. We have Ms. Katerina Sazu, co-founder of Rise Preschools, and we have Dr. Wassim El Haj, rector of the American University of Beirut, Mediterranean. So thank you so much. Welcome everyone today. And we are going to have, I hope, a lovely panel. What I will say is that, of course, we're going to be talking about education, but I think that this is a really nicely selected panel because we have a range of educational perspectives today with us. We have early years education with Katerina. We have higher education with Wassim. We have professional education, right, with Branka. Yeah, and we have education research. So I think we literally are hitting every single corner of education. So hopefully we hit all perspectives today, and we have time to do so. So to start, I like to start with an icebreaker, just so our audience can actually get a sense of our panel, and perhaps get a sense of our panel outside of their professional selves as well. So we're gonna, any order, if anybody wants to kind of start, go ahead. But the question is, you found yourself alone on a deserted island. What single non-essential item, okay, hopefully it's not work-related, would you bring to make your stay just a little more bearable? All right, Bamba, go ahead. No, you claimed it.
I would take my mother-in-law.
Did everyone?
It's non-essential. There is no way I will get bored. She knows everything. She doesn't stop talking, and I love her dearly.
Amazing. That was great. I love it. Amazing. And now I think we have a very good sense of Bambos and how he is going to be on our panel today. So awesome work. Anybody else want to take it? Branka, you have the mic. It's up to you.
Wow, how do you top that? I mean, what would the wife say? Hi, everyone. A tough question. Depends what you think what non-essential means. Right. Like, it's not a toothbrush, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I'm a lifelong learner and I'm a book nerd, so I presume I would take a book with me. And it can have more than one use. But Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Life.
Very nice.
Up to there.
I haven't read, but I think I will have to take that as a recommendation too.
I recommend it, yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, Katerina, are we moving to you? She's in deep thought still.
Well, my immediate thought was my husband.
Aww.
No, it's not. It's
no,
not
non-essential.
But listen. It was my husband because my survival skills are awful. And I would die very quickly. But I changed my mind when I realized that he would be offended if I said non-essential. And you're essential. So I'm torn between a book and a coffee machine. Because coffee fuels 90% of me.
Yeah.
And I just don't know if I could do it without it. But I am a mother, and the idea of being on a deserted island by myself to read a book is quite appealing.
Yeah.
Like I thought, you can make a mud mask with some sand and salt. You can do saltwater scrub. Like I would actually really enjoy myself. So I think if you would give me a coffee machine and a book, I would be fine. For months.
All of a sudden, we've converted this deserted island to a resort.
Honestly, it would be luxury. I really wouldn't mind. So yeah, I think a coffee machine and a book is one thing because you can't read a book without coffee. So it's one thing. It's one thing. Yeah.
So good. Awesome.
My mother-in-law makes great coffee and reads a lot of books.
Oh my goodness. I have a feeling this whole group is going to be on the deserted island together. Yeah. That's amazing. Wasim.
So I will surely not bring my mother-in-law. So that's for sure. You know, something that I always wanted to do, but because of time limitations, probably in your case, I'll say I'll sleep, not do anything, is to get some powered laptop or something to play computer games.
Oh, there you go.
Something that I really missed. I used to do a lot, and for time limitations, I cannot do.
Do you have a
but
classic
I still
computer
love it.
game that you used to play that you miss?
I do have.
Which one?
Let's see if it's called Red Alert.
Oh, I don't know it. Okay.
It's
All right.
like 95
Okay.
something.
So you, Red Alert, and a computer.
And then I don't need anything else.
Amazing. So good. Oh, I'm answering this too? Yes. Oh, my goodness. I didn't even prepare for this. But now that you brought that up, because a little bit of everything here, yes, after becoming a mom, I'm also a mom of an 8-month-old and a nice little vacation with a computer game and a coffee. I'll take my mother-in-law too. I feel she's watching my little one right now, so she probably needs a vacation as well. And a book. I'll take it all and go on that little retreat. Amazing. Thank you so much. That's awesome answers. I hope you got a good sense of who's on our panel today. And let's now bring it to the topic a little bit more, let's say, professionally. So my first question, and this is for anybody that wants to chime in, is what pivotal event or experience do you see as the catalyst that led you to do the work that you're going to share with us today? So in a very kind of easy way to answer this question, what do you feel like was that moment in your life that brought you where you are right now? If there was one. Go ahead and chime in. I don't know if Wasim, if you're holding the mic, it's up to you.
Yeah, I can start. So there were many events really that happened while being in the higher education as a professor. And I think one that was kind of changed my perspective on what I should do and teach and so on. It was back in 2012, almost. At the time, I was teaching a Syrian student, and there was a civil war that started at the time in Syria. And he was one of the brightest students in computer science. So I'm a computer science professor. And then one day he comes to me and he says, I have to leave because I cannot afford it anymore. And he cannot even afford living. So apparently they lost their savings and so on. And then it was really a pity to see someone like this person leave. And through so many people, including the university, even the department, even personal help, we were able to keep him. He was in his second year. We were able to keep him. He graduated. And now he's a really very important manager in one of the important groups at Google. And looking back at it, and since then, like we really changed the life of this person.
Yeah.
And if we didn't support him, or the university did not support him, or we as a group of people did not support him, God knows where he will be now.
Yeah.
So since then, I was like the mission was not only to educate. I think anyone can educate. It's what really you can bring more than education. How can you change or shape the future of some people, empower them in a way? And how can they be empowered to change the life of others as well? I have no doubt in my mind, no doubt, that this guy will be helping other people in similar situations. Probably he already does, or in the future.
Right.
So I believe that, like to recap on this, even when I came here to run, let's say, AUB Mediterraneo, as one of the main objectives was that we're not only here to give knowledge, educate. Now this can be given or can be offered in so many other different ways. It's way more than this. It's really how to empower these students, shape them in a way, make them more well-rounded, and give them kind of a purpose and reason.
Yeah.
So this event really still sticks with me here.
Yeah.
And after that, unfortunately, we had to be faced with many other similar events like that.
Yeah.
And I hope it doesn't become a habit, but apparently it is. And we really are happy that we're contributing not only to the education of the person, really to his future or her future.
Yeah, that's amazing. My goodness. All right. Well, wonderful response, and did give me goosebumps as well, shaping the lives of a person. Katarina.
Yeah, so I love what you said. I love the idea that there's a wider purpose to education than just teaching in a classroom. And that kind of goes with mine, because what shaped me into the person that I am that wanted to do what I do today is when I became a mother. I actually didn't start in early years. I started in secondary education, which I love. It was English literature, and hence the book. I love literature. But when I became a mother, it was around when they were 1-2 years old, and I realized this is it. This is where it matters.
Yeah.
And I think there are very few people that have not been to a form of therapist where the therapist has said, tell me about your childhood. And there's a reason. There is a reason, because it's during the early years of somebody's life that I've realized you are going to create a foundation for the rest of their lives. And if you whatever mistakes are made in the early years, you have to spend the rest of your life trying to fix them or heal them or work on them.
Untangle them.
And that's when I became so passionate about early years, when I realized how much of an impact I was having on my own children. And I thought, this has to become my mission, to spread the knowledge of how important it is. So I made the transition from secondary to early years after having my children.
Yeah. And I must add to that, as well, with the American University of Beirut Mediterranean and Rise Preschools, you have really brought the standard of education to another level, both of you in Cyprus, from early years all the way to higher education. So kudos to you both for doing that. Lambis, are we moving along?
I'll be very brief. After 10 years in the US, when I came back and we started Carted in Singapore, I think the most critical moment when we were doing work in countries with bigger need, like Philippines, Thailand, compared to work we were doing in Singapore and Taiwan. So the big discrepancy between haves and have-nots, the poverty, and then the all available infrastructure in the other countries, it was kind of a wake up from somebody who just graduated with a PhD in e-learning on how to rethink what we do in education and how to think the issues of social justice, which are so fundamental. Because now we work in 30 countries. We have work in Morocco. We're supposed to start a project in Gaza and Egypt. I don't know how it will start, but it's funded and we signed the contract. So, I mean, there are global challenges that are very serious. And I think that we, as educators, we need to have those issues in mind as moving forward.
Absolutely. Branka.
Thank you. Wow, I'm sitting on a panel with these so high-achieving people, and it's intimidating. Well, I have a question for you. Have you ever tried to swim upstream? It's hard, isn't it? Well, I want to invite you to just close your eyes for a moment with me and imagine this fish that is swimming against the current, effortlessly, courageously, fearful, but yet graciously, just swimming and getting there. And do you know which fish I'm talking about? It's the salmon.
I was going to say, I knew
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Isn't it? That's impressive. Well, now keep that imagination and take this fish and put it on the tree. What are you thinking? A poor fish, it doesn't belong. Well, probably the fish would be thinking the same. And it would maybe think it's incompetent, it's useless, but it's not. It's actually just out of its element. And with that, I remember the words that Sir Ken Robinson said, that creativity is as fundamental in education as is literacy. And that really hit home for me. I've been in legal and compliance sector for over 20 years. Very strict, rigid, I might dare to say, boring part of work. And it just didn't fulfill me. It was like working for the people, but not with people. And I think the pivotal moment was when my boss said, like, yeah, we're not going to grow bigger than this team. That's it. Like, there was no career progress. There was nothing there after so many promises. And I think that guided me to reskill, to go into higher education and to get to vocational training and help other people that didn't have opportunity to have a good foundation as children, and then they come at a life where we trained them for exams and not for life, and now they don't know what they want to do with their life, or they're unhappy at their work, they're unhappy at their jobs, they feel unfulfilled or like they're living the life without purpose. And this is why I mentioned Frankl before, because it talks a lot about how we do it. And I think that talking today here is not just like what do we teach, but how do we teach it and why do we teach it. So for me, the pivotal moment was my boss, in short words. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Well, if you can hold the mic for a moment, I want to start just kind of integrating some more specific type questions towards what you're doing, whether it's higher education or research or, and I think we're hitting on a couple of things here. All of us have come into this profession in a way to help, right? Whether it was somebody specific that we had in mind, or we knew of let's say a certain demographic that was struggling, or even an age group, right? That we caught them on the side of things that they were already adults, and we said, oh, we have to go back here to start from the beginning, or even try to find passionate souls, right? To create passionate souls in life. So we're all kind of in this education practice for all the same reasons. I would say for myself as well, I'm not, a panelist here, I'm moderating, but I also had that experience too that brought me into education, is that I was in parallel. I was actually a double major in poli-sci and in education, and I was flipping constantly between the two. What am I doing? What am I doing? And I just felt personally, that was a personal kind of feeling of mine, that I was making a really impactful difference in the classroom. I just felt it every day. Not that in politics you're not, but I think that you have to get kind of used to maybe a slower type of progression that may happen, whereas in the classroom it just felt real, but powerful, boom, boom, I don't know, this feeling. So that kind of brought me to it. Now, what we're all trying to do, I think, is also modernize education. And that word is it's a tricky word because it brings up a lot of elements. I mean, we can think modernize meaning, ed tech, right? And we can think like VR and all these crazy things that are coming out. Or we can just think of modernize as like make education what it needs to be for who we are, right? Today, it's simply that. So there's different ways to think of what this word means. And I'm just going to throw one question out there. So, Lambis, I have you sparked me in the sense that you said you were studying ed tech. Can I ask how many years ago? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us.
92.
92. So
yeah.
ed tech, right? Which like now is a term that we're like ed tech, but you are doing it from 92, which is incredible. I need to ask the question of the progression, like where you were talking about ed tech in 92 to ed tech today. Tell us a little bit about that. Like what is involved in that?
It's a favorite topic.
Yeah.
There is a book that was written by historian Larry Cuban, and it's called Technology Meets Classroom. Classroom Wins. The history of learning technologies since the invention of radio, film, the print press, the blackboard, and so on, all of these tools, we have been saying that they will either replace teachers, they will revolutionize. Yet if you enter today's classrooms around the world, without exaggeration, more than 80% of the classrooms, you will see this, a row of desks and children sitting in a desk.
That's right.
That's what we will see in most of the classrooms. Now there is a big talk about AI. That's a different monster. We don't know yet, to be honest, where that will go. But I think that the fundamental question, and all the research shows that it's not the tool, but the method that the tool might allow, which can have an impact on learning. Therefore, I think we need to think of the basics and the issues of curriculum, assessment, teacher professional development.
Yeah.
And of course, tools are very important. But I think that technology in certain areas open up fields that were not possible. For example, for a lot of people, getting an online degree was never possible because they could not travel, they did not have access, and so on. So, but I think that there are a lot of things changing, and it's still not very clear where we will go with AI, and I leave that for later.
Yeah, that's a future discussion. I'm going to shift it a little bit, Katerina, your way, because in your age group, EdTech is, I would say, if I can use the word controversial, is that fair to say, right? Because, you know, there's an age group that's, let's say, appropriate of introducing certain education technology, right? We know about, for example, I know that for under 18 months, you shouldn't, they say, introduce screen time to your baby, right? Yeah, so there are elements of age appropriate for different kind of EdTech tools. But is there a way that we can kind of introduce the integration of play-based learning, which is an important aspect of that, and age-appropriate technology skills, perhaps, in your age group to prepare them for the type of learning later on that will prep them for kind of future-ready skills? What can you say about that?
Yes, there is.
Good. There's hope.
I know we've had this conversation so many times between us. Look, I always say that education in the early years has nothing to do with academics, and I stand by it. It does not matter if they don't know how to do 2 + 2 and 1 + 1. They will learn at some point. It's about, though, as I said before, setting foundations. And some of those foundations are habits that we need to teach them. One of those habits, among the habit of kindness, the habit of being environmentally friendly, the habit of healthy living, is the use of technology. Now, we're not going to take technology away from children. We shouldn't take technology away from them. They will struggle if technology is taken away from them. What we need to be teaching them is when we introduce technology, is we need to introduce it in a healthy way and make it a healthy habit in their life. And that comes with intentionality. So we always need to be asking the question, is this an active activity that I'm giving them, or are they going to be passive when doing it? What is the purpose? Is it promoting creativity? Is it promoting connection? If you can't answer those questions, then you need to rethink why the technology is in front of them.
That's right.
We should be using it as a tool to enhance a type of hands-on learning that's already been done or that's about to be done. And whether you are a parent or a teacher or a caregiver or whatever the case may be, we always need to be thinking like this. We need to be making them active learners, not passive learners. We need to be making them learn. We need to be helping them learn to make the decision to use technology for a purpose, not because they're bored or because they don't know what else to do or they don't know how else to learn.
Yeah.
So they need to be using it as an addition to something else. It's about habits.
And you're bringing up such an important part, because I think often educational institutions that implement technology are kind of thought of as like, wow, they've implemented technology. But as you know, Lambis said before, it's the methodology. And as you're saying now, because putting 20 devices in a classroom and saying go on whatever website, Kahoot, is no big deal. It's the easiest thing to do, and let your learners just kind of immerse themselves in a passive kind of experience. Not that I'm saying Kahoot is passive, just for the record, but it's very important that we do that. And I think that a lot of the work that with Gear Education, when we're coming into schools as well, is we have to almost think of every age group that we're working with as early years, so that we're constantly reminding ourselves of what is the purpose, so we're not overdoing the experience with technology. There's always a reason, and if the reason has a connection to it, then yes. If it doesn't, then you have to rethink that. And you brought up such an important part.
And they need to be learning to ask the question themselves.
That's right.
They need to be able to answer you if you say, why are you doing that right now?
Yeah.
What is the purpose of this? And discuss that with them. If you can get that into them, then you're setting them up on a good
Amazing.
path.
That's awesome. That's very good. I'm going to gear towards higher education. I know I keep playing early years to higher education today, but I want to ask a little bit, shifting this in more of a global kind of landscape. How do you see, Wasim, the changing global landscape of higher education shaping the future of universities in Cyprus, especially when it's regarding to digital learning and this idea of preparing graduates for the global workforce, which you've done. You have an example of somebody that you said now is in Google. Like, you can't have a better example than that.
So thank you for the answer. It's very important. I should have known that many years ago when my kids were small.
Do we hear it on Wasim?
Yes, you can
okay,
hear
there
me?
you go. Good.
Okay. Around also 12, 13 years ago, we normally review our programs and we bring external reviewers and so on. And at the time, we got a professor from Boston University to come and review our programs. And he came, superb guy. And at the time, there was something called MOOCs. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not.
Oh, MOOC?
Yes,
Like a mass
MOOC.
online
Exactly.
MOOCs. Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
the MOOCs.
Yeah.
And then they were a trend at the time. And there were a few MOOCs out there by MIT, Harvard, and so on, attended by 1 million people. And he was saying, look, guys, you need to start thinking about MOOCs. And then a few years later, MOOCs disappeared. No one hears anymore about MOOCs. And then with edX and with all of these platforms that are making online programs, then the trend was, okay, instead of MOOCs, let's make a full program. And then the programs will be bachelor, will be masters, even PhD programs that are online. And then this continued, but now there is AI. And then some years ago, Google comes and some other of the big companies and say, you know what, you don't need even a bachelor degree. Why you need to go and spend 100,000 or 150 and get a degree from a reputable university? Come, I teach you for 1 year. Really, really, seriously, I teach you. If you are a bright student coming from high school, you should be bright. I come, I teach you for 1 year, and you are a Google employee, and don't pay. You pay pennies with respect compared to the actual tuition. So the challenges that we believe higher education is facing is not only in Cyprus. Cyprus probably has more challenges, but there are global challenges, which is what is really the future of higher education. Is it going to be the same as it is now? We already feel that it is changing and changing rapidly. It's still really vague. It's a question mark. Definitely incorporating technology in anything that we do is a must. We all know when ChatGPT was released, schools, universities, everyone was puzzled. What do we do? Really, do we prevent it? Do we tell students, punish them if they use it, or let them use it and let's see how they use it? And both approaches were adopted, by the way. It's not like everyone allowed students to use it. So now with online, with how expensive it is to go into higher education, I talk about my university and others, how sustainable they can be. All of these are big questions that we don't know the answer for. Of course, my hope will be, no, it will remain as it is now. I lose my job, right? But, so in Cyprus, the added challenges will be, especially the university is in Paphos. So it is the readiness of the infrastructure from all angles, from start with migration to living to housing to having fun. Students, they need to go, come, have fun, and so on. I think from the infrastructure-wise, there is things need to be done. I know at least in Paphos that I'm familiar with, it's doing a great job. It's not yet ready to be a university town, let's say, but they are doing an okay job. In Cyprus, there are many other universities that I respect. I will definitely not comment on. but things seem to be working well, at least. Research is happening, education is happening properly, at least in the most of them. Knowledge creation. So what a university does is being done in Cyprus, but what the future holds is still really a big question mark.
Yeah.
And what we are doing, at least now, is to integrate all these technologies in our classroom, encourage them, organize how they need to be used, work not only on the major itself, work on the student as a whole,
Yeah.
on communication skills that many times they are overlooked, but they are extremely, extremely important, and others. And we wait and see what new surprises we will get. Because every few months you have a new surprise, and you feel yourself you need to adopt to new things every 4 or 5 months.
You brought up such a great, I know everyone says they drop AI and then they say, we'll leave that for later. It's like a later discussion where we kind of implant it here. But I happened to be on the phone with my brother yesterday, and I just thought it was funny because he made a comment, and I don't know if anybody resonates with this with AI, but technology, usually we see the growth, right? We saw like the mobile phone from like a Nokia becoming a smartphone to, you know, what we have today that everybody has smartphones. AI, if anyone feels this, it feels like it dropped on a random Monday. We woke up and all of a sudden AI was here, right? And you're right, we had to like make a decision of like what we do with this AI. But it's just it's a strange phenomenon. I know, Lambis, I don't know if you agree with me, but it's almost as like it was hidden somewhere in some closet, and all of a sudden they opened it up and AI is just part of our lives now, and we're trying to figure it out. And of course, there are pros and cons as with anything else. But yeah, seeing how all of us from early years to higher education, to research, deal with this, deal with it, that's maybe not the best terminology, but handle it, is going to really shape our future. All I know is that when I saw, you know, it's different to talk about, and I talk about it all the time, transforming education with AI, all these, you know, headlines that we do when we work with institutions, but seeing it, like yesterday, I saw my 6-year-old nephew ask Gemini, an AI tool, one of many, basically, he took a screenshot of his homework. I was so fascinated. And this is the most amazing part. It's not do my homework. It was Gemini reading the instructions, understanding the instructions, taking the first question as an example and saying, it was about silent letters in pronunciation of words. And it was like, do you hear the ing in this word? And my nephew responded, yes, I hear it. And then they proceeded to have a conversation about the homework assignment. That for me is like next level. Like I can do as many trainings on AI as I want. That was like a mind-blowing experience to see. And I hope that's what we see. And we don't see plagiarism in this and all that. I hope that's what we continue to see.
Exactly. There was a very interesting exercise. It's really a rectangle. Let's say 9 rectangles that are just next to each other, like one big rectangle, and it's divided into cells, 9 cells in total. And the question is, how many rectangles are in this rectangle? So they are not 9 because there are more rectangles, right? It's a very simple problem. But yet it is not simple, right? So you need to count, and you need to avoid double counting, and so on. And this nice experiment is to go ask people, like how many, and then they will give you the answer, highly probable, without using like a paper and a pen. High probability, no one will get it right, even professors in the room or mathematicians or whatever. And then you group them in pairs and tell them, okay, do the same exercise again. And then you see that they started putting a plan. You know, okay, let me start with all rectangles that start with that corner, and then this corner, or let me divide them into rows and columns. So, and then you make the group bigger, and then you see answers are coming to become right. So there was proper planning. And then you take the same problem and you put it, or actually, we did the actual experiment, by the way. We did it with our students, it's not like just a story. And we put it on ChatGPT. The same problem. We put the picture of it, how many rectangles are in that. It gave, I think, 36 or 35, something like this is the answer. And then it didn't give you any details. How did it bring to 35?
Come to that result.
Then we said, okay, please explain more. This is vague answer. Then it explained more. But then what? It gave really very complex mathematical equations that normal people will not be able to follow. Please explain. So iterations with
That's right.
ChatGPT at the
Effective
time.
prompting, right?
Exactly. So and then there is this prompt engineering now
Yeah,
that's
that's right.
like a study. So it can definitely be used. It's the very last answer of ChatGPT was really simple, accurate, has the plan that 2 or 3 people did it already, like the humans did it.
Right.
It took some time to tell ChatGPT, do it the same way we understand it, or normal people understand it, but eventually it is able to get you this information. You know, it's scary, but at the same time, very useful. So
It's
we need
it's
to
an
use
incredible
it somehow.
thing. And we can pull this back into Katerina's early years because effective prompting, right, as you said, prompt engineering, is being able to explain to any AI tool what it is that you want. And from an early age group, I mean, just having them do a simple task of explain to me how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Oh, take 2 pieces of bread. No, break it down, right? Like something so simple is a skill that can help them later.
But I will. AI is terrifying for me, as you know, being passionate about in early years, because we didn't grow up with AI. So we know critical thinking. We know how to use our own minds. We know how to research using books. We know what a library is. When we were studying, we didn't even use the internet. We would go to the university library and we would find things. It is terrifying to me that children are growing up and they won't know a world without AI. It worries me that children are not going to be able to know what critical thinking is. They're not going to be able to use their own minds to work something out. They're just going to go into the computer, go onto ChatGPT, ask a question, and it's going to answer. And now, yes, it is a beautiful tool. It's a powerful tool. I use it all the time. But I'm going to go back to what I said before about this is why it's so important to teach children about using it with a purpose and using it with intention. And as a tool, not as the be-all and end-all in their life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why, to me, it is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely. It's with anything that's new, everything is terrifying until it kind of comes into motion and we figure it out. And we're all going to be in this decision that Wasim was saying. Some universities are saying no, we're not. Some are saying yes. But something resonated the other day. Somebody said, if you're not learning AI, you'll get left behind. And that was like, wow, if there's something scary, that's a scary statement to make. But I think to shift over to Branka now, because you're dealing with, or working with, sorry, the word dealing, working with, let's say the individuals that have already, they're out of higher education, they're out of early years, right? They're now expected to sink or swim, right? Because they didn't really maybe have the luxury of going through the learning process. And now it's like AI is here on a random Monday, figure it out, integrate it with your business that you're doing, make yourself productive and efficient. How do we deal with, I guess, a group that are expected to learn all of these skills, right? And how it is that we work with them in this kind of changing playing field? Whoa.
Thank you for this long question.
Sorry.
Well, one thing, and I'll refer back to my fish, is that not all children are meant to climb the same tree. Some are meant to swim, some are meant to dance, some are meant to build, and some are meant to question everything. And with children, that's beautiful, because as we are growing, we kind of teach them out of their curiosity and out of their creativity. And with adults, what's a good thing is they have this willingness and the purpose. They're there because they want to, not because they have to, like we do with children. And this is a plus, because when you work with a group of people who accept that the only constant is the change, and they need to change something about themselves as well as to change the world, is that it's easier to be receptive to what's being broadcasted, what's being offered. And I work with different organizations with women, And we do women empowerment through all kinds of professional and personal development courses and gatherings. And there is this thing that's called ethical fatigue. I've been just doing the presentation to certified fraud examiners. And they are like top of the standards of catching the fraud and catching the bad people. And yet, it happens to all of us. And I think that the part of learning and working with adults is this, we are able to catch ourselves. We have, as Katerina, right, rightfully said, this critical thinking already. So how do you prepare people for the skills? Well, first, start with why. Understand why do we want this skill? Why do we need it? Are we being burnout? Are we feeling unhappy? Are we feeling fatigued? Are we feeling misunderstood? Are we feel like we are unheard? And then from there on, start developing this. And this is why, like at Meaningful Synergies, we do this holistic consulting and training. What does that mean? Personal and professional have to go hand in hand. You cannot be a good professional leader in your business if you're not sound inside, if not everything is okay on the personal level. So we need to touch this both corners. And whether it's through the universities and education along life, or when we come to the adult age and Human Resources Development Agency helps us with different kind of courses, this is just the question of a matter of timing.
Yeah, that's a very important aspect. So to hone in a little bit, we are at the Cyprus Diaspora Forum, so we should be also talking about specific to Cyprus, right? And I also am mindful of time, that we're kind of closing. So to leave and close on a positive note, I want to end with a question to all of us and just kind of get a perspective. But what unique strengths or characteristics of Cyprus should be leveraged, in your opinion, and think of your kind of background when you're answering the question, as we navigate the future of education here? So we can let that sit in for a while. We are always expected to answer like this, right? Like AI answers like this. Now, we can also resonate and reflect on something. But again, very important, because all of us are changing some sort of landscape. I'm sure, and let's be real, that sometimes when we're here on this beautiful little island, we also face major challenges when we're trying to bring the standard to the standard that we want it to be. But there are unique strengths of this little place as well. Little place that is big place, whatever you want to say, little island. I don't know, Lambis, you are nodding. I know you have a lot from 92 when you came back.
Well, I would say that sometimes as Cypriots, we are reasonable and we believe in the collectiveness. So I think that we have to find ways, given that we have one of the most highly educated group in Europe, depending if you look at the statistics, we need to find ways to work together. And the most important part is to make decisions based on evidence. Not what I feel is good, or not what I believe, or what I dreamed last night, but what does the research say? What does work? Which age groups, which professions, in what ways is best to do what? And I think if we go a bit more evidence-based and actually see what the research says, I think we'll make a lot of progress.
Yeah, and I think you're hitting the nail on the head, because sometimes I feel like in Cyprus, it's almost like we feel we're expected to reinvent the wheel. We have the leverage, perhaps, of looking at other countries and how they've done things and saying, okay, what can we take that works with our cultural landscape? And you're right about that. It's evidence-based. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. And it also takes the pressure off of us too. Because if you go with evidence and research, you know that you're following the kind of correct pathway. Katerina, you're nodding. I know you have something to add.
Yeah, it's what you said about taking from others. I think the most beautiful two things about Cyprus, about our amazing little island, is one, the community, the close-knit community that exists, and the fact that we are at a crossroads between so many different cultures. We are so lucky to live in this place where everyone comes and everyone's welcome and they bring so much.
Yeah.
And I think if we put these two things together and implement this into education, because let's face it, now into the schools, it's not just Cypriot children. There are so many different nationalities,
That's
so
right.
many different cultures, and we're so our children are so lucky to have that. And I've always been a very firm believer that in a classroom, children should be given the opportunity to travel without getting on a plane. And if you have all of these different children in a classroom, you can do that, and you can take from that. And I think Cypriot schools should start, something Cypriot schools do beautifully is teach the culture and the history and the heritage that so exists on our island and we're so proud of, and rightly so, we should be proud of it. And it keeps them to their roots. I think every Cypriot knows that if you're a Cypriot, you know you're a Cypriot, and you know everything about it, which we should 100% keep. International schools should start teaching that a little bit more. I think international schools should start teaching a little bit more about Cyprus, and I think Cypriot schools and international schools should start taking from each other. So I think in Cypriot schools, while keeping the beauty of our history and culture, we should start branching out and teaching children about other cultures and enhancing that knowledge.
Yeah.
And like I said, introduce them to worlds that are different from their own. And in our international British schools, our private schools, they should bring Cyprus in a little bit more. So they are focusing on the beauty of multiculturalism. So, you'll hear about them. My children will come home and they'll know what Hanukkah is, and they'll know what Festival of Colors is, and Diwali and Thanksgiving. And to be honest, my children lack knowledge of Cyprus. So I think we need to merge the two, using that community that we have and using that multiculturalism.
Not losing what we are, essentially,
No.
as an island. And I think it's interesting. I grew up in New York in a public school system, and now I have an 8-month-old here, and I'm thinking of schools, obviously, because you have to sign up before they were born, apparently, to put them in a school in Cyprus. But it's interesting to think about how I would have never predicted that the opposite problem. My daughter's going to have a multicultural experience like I had in New York living in Cyprus, but keeping the Greek element or the Cypriot element is something to think about, which was something my parents struggled with raising me in New York. So it's very strange to think about that perspective as well. But you're right, we have such an amazing multicultural aspect, but keeping what the island, the essence of what makes Cyprus special is also important to balancing those two. So Wasim, I'm interested in your perspective.
I'm gonna only talk about the positive stuff.
Okay.
So,
Of course.
there are
We're leaving on a positive note.
exactly. So, location is extremely, extremely important, especially in higher education, because it will enrich all the programs with diversity. So it's really very close to what Katrina said. Location that it is in the Middle East, really. It's in it's from Lebanon and the area. It's only like 20 minutes or so. And same for Africa, same for Europe. It's part of the EU. So one of its major strengths is it is a hub, as I can see in this. It's really a hub that can connect all these troubled area for so many years and play a positive role and an impactful role in hopefully bringing the minds, bringing the people together. I think it's very, very well situated to do that because it's not an enemy of any country, probably except one. and they are in a good position, in a good relation that they can play a very impactful role.
That's right.
And given that we teach politics and we teach these stuff, so the location is extremely important, and the potential. There's a great potential in Cyprus. Potential because the whole island, which is a very small island, it is attracting people, working on itself, improving education, improving innovation, improving the infrastructure. So this potential will raise everyone up, education institutions and all other institutions, as opposed to being in a place where you're not getting any support whatsoever, and it's all on you to improve yourself. No, here there is a place, an island that is helping you improve yourself by improving themselves.
Yeah.
So the location and potential, I believe, are two of the biggest strengths in Cyprus. Of course, culture. Culture, if they speak Arabic, I believe I will not differentiate them from Lebanese.
Yeah.
Really, because when I came, this culture, it's a Mediterranean culture in a way. That's, values, and it's not like other cultures, they don't have values, of course not.
Of course, we have to say that.
It's still family-oriented, family values in general, cultural values. So it comes as a plus in Cyprus too.
I always found something very interesting, and I think it's important to note on top of what you're saying about the location of this island. There is something magical about this island, and somebody had said to me when I first came here, there's a second degree of separation between somebody there's somebody else that knows that person. And that's so true, and it's quite scary sometimes, but I'm going to take that even farther. What I think is fascinating, and I found it in working in the Cyprus-U.S. Chamber of Commerce when we're always trying to find Cypriots around the world, and I think that's what this conference is doing, right? Locate the Cypriots or somebody connecting to Cyprus, and how many there are in impactful work. I mean, this little island, and whether you're a Cypriot or you have a connection to Cyprus and you're doing amazing things. I mean, I'm going to put Google out there. Sorry, it's like a sponsored ad right now. But the DeepMind, basically the company that is behind all the AI that Google is implementing is Cypriot. Like, it's mind-blowing. It's actually mind-blowing that this little place is just hitting so many different areas globally. And I think that's what this conference is doing, right? Is honing us all together. And I think that's an amazing thing. Branka, I'm leaving it to you. What is so unique about this little place?
Thank you. Well, I'm not a Cypriot. I'm a Serbian diasporan, but I call Cyprus for 25 years my home. And when I think about the benefits and what could change and how we could become this hub that we are so much aiming to be, is like in US, in all the states, homeschooling is allowed, it's permitted. In UK, homeschooling is permitted. In Germany, it is not allowed. In Sweden, it's an outright ban. In Cyprus, it is not allowed. In some Asian countries, it's not even regulated. And then when I think, I have an 11-year-old, and he lives with dyslexia. So he really has a lot of screen time, because this is how he learns. He dares to swim upstream in his own way. And then when I asked him what is his favorite country to travel to, he said, Mexico. And I said, why Mexico out of all places? And he said, I want to go to see Casa Azul. I want to see the home of Frida Kahlo. And this is like, how do you educate children? How do you let them see the world? Like, he managed to do that because of technology, and maybe wouldn't be able to. But then my 16-year-old, he needs to go to a practice now for 2 weeks to prepare for his future job, for the work, and it's so hard to do it. There are no places. Part of it because of the law as well, because the law says that ean κάποιος παράγει έργο, if somebody makes some kind of a effort or a job, they need to be compensated, they need to be paid. So the internship, the way we know it in Europe and US, is not the same here. So I think that the challenge, but also very big opportunity for Cyprus, to come back to your question, is because we are so small, because we have this flexibility and adaptability, we should put the government and education together to find a way to work with companies, with corporates, to let these young minds prepare for the life that's in front of them in the real life, in the real case scenario. Not just what we read from the books or what we ask ChatGPT to tell us, and there is a reason why it's called generative AI and not creative AI, but just to feel it with our own hands. I mean, how do you fry an egg? Somebody can tell you how to make peanut butter jelly sandwich, but if you don't go and do it yourself, you might never know. Yes, you might burn your finger once or twice, or burn a pan. Doesn't matter, smell up the whole house, but at least you will know how to do it next time. And you will feel proud with the achievement that it tastes good because you made it. You worked on it. So Cyprus, two things to become a hub, and on a positive note, think about homeschooling because we have multiculturalism. Not all children maybe want to go to Greek school, Greek-speaking school. Not all parents can be taxi drivers every day, all afternoon long, just to take children from A to B. The private lessons, CDETERA, preparations for exams, children parties and everything. And then they have to be so many hours at school. And then, of course, the part where you embed them into the businesses. So this internship, this collaboration between the businesses and the universities can really help.
Well,
So
that's a wonderful answer. I hope the first aspect, because the traffic in Limassol is getting outrageous, so I do hope that that settles down. But I think the second point we're seeing, I mean, just a few weeks ago, we had President Christodoulidis come back from Silicon Valley with like how many meetings with major companies that's setting Cyprus possibly in an aspect of bigger companies, exposure here in Cyprus, maybe perhaps better connection with the education market. We'll see. I don't know. I think 20 years ago, maybe that wasn't something that was in our landscape, and now it's like no big deal that Microsoft and Google and whatever are in Cyprus. All of a sudden, our little country mentality is big country mentality, right? So, well, thank you so much. I think we ended pretty good, I think I would say. So thank you so much to the panelists. Thank you to the audience. And we'll meet here again in a year, hopefully soon. All right.
Thank you.